Welcome to an entirely new venture for me to record videos and show you how I do stuff. I thought this one might be something more fun to do than just typing stuff out and show you how I do different things. So to just jump right into this, we are going to talk today about editing on your phone when you're traveling or just feel like editing on your phone, period. I want to tell you what apps I use, how I get the images onto my phone, and then I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process on how to get a nice clean edit for your picture. So the first thing is I shoot with a 5D Mark III, which does not have Wi-Fi capabilities to it. So I need a way to get my photos from the memory card onto my phone without using a laptop. That's where this little adapter that I got at the Apple Store comes into play. It has the Lightning connection, and then it has a spot for my SD card. So what happens is I plug that into my phone here and I put the memory card in, and that will bring up an import dialog. So that's where I just pick which images that I want to take from the memory card and put onto my phone. I don't usually import all of them because they are raw photos and they take up a lot of space. I have a 256 gig phone, but still, can you imagine how fast that would fill up? So I check off the image that I want to import. I import that into my phone library, and then I start using the app that I use for editing, and that is Lightroom Mobile. If you're not familiar with Lightroom Mobile, it's just a free app that Adobe offers for you to do some pretty standard editing and then maybe a few extra advanced things if you're familiar with the different tools within the app. That, like I said, it's a free app. You can just get it from Adobe and download it to your phone. So what you want to do, now you already have the image on your phone in your photo library. You need to get the photo into Lightroom. So what you want to do is open the Lightroom app, and then you'll see in the bottom right hand corner a little blue button that has a picture, like a landscape picture and a plus sign. So you're going to click on that and go to your phone library and choose your image and import it into the Lightroom library. And you'll see a little check mark at the top that will let you know that it's imported, and you can click on it and go ahead and start editing. Within the app, I work typically from left to right, and then I save cropping for last. For some reason, that's just how I do it. So on the bottom of the Lightroom app, you'll see there's selective, healing, crop, profiles, auto, light, color, effects, etc. Where we're going to start today is with the light editing tool. It's a little icon of a sun with a starburst around it. So you're just going to tap on that, and what it will bring up is your different light adjustments that you can do within this app. You can do exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, etc. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with the exposure portion. This is usually where I start with my photos because I just like to see all of the changes that I make with the exposure that I'm ultimately going to wind up at. I like my photos nice and bright, so for this one, this was shot in a tea store with some okay natural light and some artificial light that was coming down from overhead, but I just want it to be much brighter, so I'm actually going to increase the exposure on this almost a full stop. And then I kind of like my photos to pop with some contrast. I like my blacks to be black, and I like my shadows to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to add some contrast here. I'm going to go up to about 30. And then underneath that you see the highlights and the shadows. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and skip over that right now because I don't need to change that. Like I said, this is an on-the-fly editing, and I don't want to take too much time. Okay, so the next thing that we have is the color tool. This is where you can adjust your white balance, and then you can adjust individual colors within the image. We're going to start with the white balance. Like I said, we had some window light coming in, we had some overhead light coming in, so our colors are just a little bit off. To keep it simple, I'm just going to use the auto white balance option. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see that it reduces the temperature quite a bit. Then we have tint, vibrance, and saturation. I'm going to leave those alone again. Those will affect the overall colors of the image, and I'm happy with the way the overall color looks right now. But there are a few colors that I see in here that I'm not loving. And over on the right, you'll see a word that says mix with the color wheel on it. If you want to make a single color adjustment, so if you want to adjust just the reds, just the oranges, just the yellows, you can tap on that, and that will open up that color for you. You can adjust hue, saturation, and luminance for each individual color. Hue will change the actual tone of the color within where it would fall on the color wheel, so you can deepen your pinks or make them look a little bit more coral. You can increase the saturation just so that there's more of that color in there. And then your luminance slider, I don't know exactly how to describe luminance, but to me it just makes the color smoother. So you can either like brighten it, freshen it, and smooth it out, or darken it and really enhance the contrast within the color. Okay, so for this case, I'm going to start with the red. If you look at the labels on the canisters, there's a red stamp on them, and I want that to pop just a little bit as I adjust the other colors. So I'm just going to go ahead into the saturation slider and bump that up a little bit. I'm going to go into this luminance slider and bump that up. And now we're going to move on to the oranges. I don't want to adjust the orange tones too much because the label of this canister is already kind of orange, and if I take that out too much or if I add too much, it will change the color of the product, which I don't want to do. I want it to be as true to life as possible. So I'm just going to actually smooth out that color just a little bit with that luminance tool, and then we're going to jump over to the yellow slider, and this is where I can make some more changes because it's not adjusting the color of the actual product. It's adjusting the light that's hitting the product. And in this case, we have a lot of yellow light. And I'm just going to take that yellow slider and bring it all the way down. And you'll see that it takes the yellow tones out and off of the can, but it doesn't change the color of the label. And again, we're trying to keep this as true to life as possible. Bump that slider on the luminance up just a little bit and smooth things out. Then we can skip over the green and the aqua. But if you have those colors in your image and you want to change them, that's where you would go ahead and do it. Now I'm going to touch the blue slider because I want, again, I don't want the color of the product to be affected by the colors that were coming in from the window, the overhead, or whatever else was going on in there. So I see a lot of blue on this canister, and I want the color of the tin to be nice and crisp. Excuse me. So I'm going to take that blue slider all the way down and take out any of the blue color cast that I have coming in from the window. See the difference that it makes? It makes that silver really, really silver. We're just going with this here. Okay, now we are done with our color mix. I am done with the color setting in general, and we're going to jump over the effects button and go into detail. This is where you can adjust your sharpening. I really don't need a ton of sharpening because this image was already pretty sharp. Sharpening, just so you know, when you sharpen image, it actually just sharpens the edges of an item to make it look more crisp and more sharp. So if you have a really blurry image, no amount of sharpening on here is going to help you. So you can see like the app automatically sets it to 40, but I don't need it that sharp, so I'm going to just drop it back down to 25. Okay, and then in here is one of my favorite things for making photos look crisp and clean and smooth, and that's the noise reduction slider. This is if you have a grainy image because you took it in low light, or if your image just doesn't look as clean as you like, this is where you're going to come and make an adjustment to bring out that crispness that we like. So I'm going to actually just bump the noise reduction slider up to 15 and give it some smoothing. And then you can also change your noise reduction in the color tones and go out and smooth those. I'm not going to touch them. Again, this is just a quick and dirty editing lesson. It's not a full-on Lightroom lesson. All right, so now we're done with that tool. We're going to move over to our optics button, and this is where the app will make changes based on the lens that you shot your image with, or the camera that you shot your image with. Sometimes lenses can warp and distort images. If you have a wide angle lens, you might notice that the outsides look a little bit wider than the center of the image. And these apps are so smart. What you can do is open up this optics option and just toggle this enable lens correction over, and it will correct any weird things that the lens does for you. So I pretty much use this on every single image. Okay, Now you have your geometry button, and this is where you can tell the app you want it to straighten the photo just based on what it thinks should be straight. Now, the upper right option on this will look for straight lines and try to make them straight either horizontally or perpendicularly. I just use the auto option on this also, and if it changes it just a little bit too much, I'll go in and use the crop tool and correct that. Okay, so now one of the very last things we do is go back to the very beginning where it says profiles. I've made my color adjustments, and now I want to just make sure that this app knows which overall color profile I want to use. This is a little bit more advanced, but I just wanted to show you what I do so that you can get your images as close to what mine look like as possible. I open up this profile thing, and then I always go over to the Adobe standard option, and you just see it makes a very teeny tiny difference. And that is pretty much it. The very last thing I do is crop the image for Instagram. I do the 4:5 ratio so that I get as much of my image as possible in there. I will play with the rotation a little bit and make sure I'm happy with how straight it is. In this case, I'm just looking to make sure those labels look straight and not crooked. And that's it. That's how fast you can edit a photo. After this, you'll be changing exporting the image to your phone so that you can get your JPEG. So click the check mark up in the top right hand corner and you are done. You have edited your image. You're going to want to export it out of Lightroom so that you can use it for whatever purposes you planned on doing. So what you can do is go back into your Lightroom library, choose the image you want to export, click the little icon of the export button at the top. It's a square box with an arrow pointing out of it. When you click on that, you'll get your export options. I usually just save my images to my camera roll, and I always select the small size, and that is because when I'm exporting images from Lightroom on my phone to my phone, I'm usually just doing it for social media, so I don't need large files. If you choose maximum available and you edited the photo from a DSLR RAW file, you're going to be exporting a pretty big image file. And that's it. Here's a really cool thing about Lightroom, and that is that you can save your editing steps as a preset so that you can apply the same steps to other photos just with the tap of a button. And this is how you save your preset. In your Lightroom app, you will see a little circle with 3 dots at the top right hand corner. If you tap on that, it will come up with a series of options for that particular portion, and you'll see a option that says Create Preset. You click on that, and on the left hand side you can check off the settings that you want to actually include in the saved preset. You'll see most of them are checked off here. I'm going to go ahead and add the optics button because, like I said, I use that all the time, and then I'm going to title the preset. I call it Clean Edit because that's all it is. It's just a nice clean edit. And then from here, you can apply this preset to other images within your Lightroom library. So I'm just going to show you. I'll check this one, and I slide over here to where it says Presets. I click on that, and I click on my Clean Edit option, and I click the check mark at the bottom right hand corner, and it will apply my presets to that image exactly as it was applied to the image that I saved it from. Easy peasy. Now that I have shown you how to do some basic edits on your phone, I want to let you know that there are things that are called presets, because I just told you how to save one, that you can just buy. It's like a recipe you get from a cookbook. You apply it to your photos and then make a few of your own adjustments and tweaks based on how you like your photo to look. Like, for example, I said that I like my photos to be nice and bright, so I usually adjust my exposure after I add a preset. I created 4 presets for you for the summertime that are a little bit on trend with what's going on in the Instagram world right now, and I have them available for you to purchase. There is a link here for you. You can just grab them and enjoy. Before I go though, I'm going to show you how you can add the preset to your phone without using your desktop, because these are intended to be used on Lightroom Mobile. So what you're going to do after you get your download, you're going to be downloading a DNG file, and you're going to save it to your photo library on your phone. And then just like when you're importing an image into Lightroom to edit it, you're going to import your DNG file. So navigate to your camera roll, grab the image that you received with your download, and add it to your Lightroom library. The next step is to open that image again. Click on the little blue circle at the top with the 3 dots in it and save this as a preset, just like I showed you how you can save your own preset before. Click Create Preset, add the optics thing if you want, and then you can name the preset. You can name it whatever you purchased. If you want to name it something else, you can, but I named the presets based on some styles that I used as inspiration for developing the preset. So this particular one that we're watching is called Burano, and it is inspired by the island of Burano in Italy, which is super vibrant, super bold, very fun, and very summery. And just click the check button at the top right hand corner, and now you have the preset saved to your phone. Easy peasy. I'm going to say it again. Easy peasy. Now that you have that preset saved in your phone, you can apply it to your other images however you like. Just go ahead and open that Lightroom app, open the image that you want to use, slide over to the presets button, open that, click on the preset that you want to use, click the check button, and you are done. You can make other adjustments if you like, or you can leave it as it is, and that's it. All done.